I really want you to picture a highly specific scenario right now. And I mean, I am speaking directly to you, the person listening to this.
Yeah, really put yourself in this headspace.
Right. Because I guarantee this is going to feel uncomfortably familiar, almost invasively familiar.
Yeah, absolutely.
So picture this. It is 11:30 p.m. on a weeknight. The house is completely silent, except for, maybe the hum of the refrigerator.
Or maybe the hum of the office AC if you're still stuck there.
Yes. You might physically still be at the office long after the cleaning crew has gone. The harsh blue light of your laptop screen is just burning into your retinas.
When your posture is probably terrible at that point.
Oh, the worst. Your shoulders are creeping way up toward your ears, right? Just tight with this tension that you have practically accepted as your baseline state of being.
It's just normal to you now.
Exactly. And you're working on a project, agonizing over some tiny, minute detail, a spreadsheet, a presentation deck, an email draft, and you are over-delivering.
You're going miles beyond what anyone actually asked of you.
You really are.
Mm-hmm.
And as you sit there sacrificing your sleep, your peace, your personal time, there is this very specific narrative running on a loop in your head.
The hope narrative.
Right. You're desperately hoping that this time, finally, your boss or your client is going to look at this Herculean effort and say, wow, we finally see your true worth.
I mean, it is the absolute pinnacle of the modern hustle paradigm. We see this everywhere.
It really is.
There's this deeply ingrained, almost romanticized belief that if you just squeeze one more drop of blood from the stone will miraculously turn into solid gold.
Which is scientifically impossible, obviously.
Right. But we've convinced ourselves that exhaustion is the currency we have to use to purchase our worth in this world.
Exactly. And it doesn't just apply to the boardroom or the laptop screen either. Let's look at how this same exhaustion infects our personal lives.
Oh, it completely bleeds over.
It totally does. Because maybe for you, the 11:30 p.m. scenario isn't a spreadsheet. Maybe it is a relationship.
Yeah, you're agonizing over a text message.
Right. You are constantly, relentlessly bending over backwards for a partner or maybe a friend or a family member. You are in a permanent state of hypervigilance.
Anticipating their needs before they even articulate them.
Exactly. You are walking on a floor completely covered in eggshells, meticulously planning every step, terrified that if you stop over-accommodating for even a single second, they'll leave.
They'll suddenly realize you aren't essential.
Right. And you are just exhausted.
Yeah.
I mean, I am talking about a bone-deep, cellular, soul-crushing exhaustion that, a weekend of sleeping in cannot even begin to fix.
Oh, a nap won't touch that level of tired. And what makes this cycle so uniquely torturous is the profound, disorienting confusion it breeds within you.
Because it just feels so unfair.
It does. Because from a purely analytical standpoint, the math simply isn't mathing. You are looking at the equation of your life, and you are just baffled by the output.
Yes, you look at your own life, and you basically argue with the universe. You say, look at my inputs. I am putting in maximum effort here.
I'm sacrificing everything.
Right. I'm sacrificing my boundaries. I'm saying yes when I desperately want to say no. I am literally doing the work of 3 people. So where is the result?
Where's the payoff?
Exactly. Despite all the literal blood, sweat, and tears, the ultimate goal, the dream career, the perfect relationship, true financial freedom, it all still feels impossibly mockingly far away.
Like it's deliberately hiding from you.
Right. You feel like you are standing in a long, dark hallway facing this heavy, locked steel door, and your strategy for the last decade has just been to push against it.
Just throwing your body weight at it.
Yes, you push and you shove and you throw your shoulder into it until you are bruised and bleeding. And eventually you just slide down the door, look up at the ceiling and wonder, why is this so difficult for me?
When it seems to flow so effortlessly for other people.
Exactly. People who don't even seem to be working half as hard as you are.
Well, that frustration is completely valid. I mean, it is a very human response to a perceived injustice. But we are going to explore a completely different framework today.
I think people really need this.
They do, because that frustration is born from a fundamental, structural misunderstanding of how your experience of reality is actually generated.
Okay, lay it on me.
Consider this proposition. What if the reason you are perpetually stuck isn't because you aren't working hard enough, or because you lack talent?
Or because the universe hates you.
Right. What if the reason you are bleeding against that steel door is simply because you are pushing against the front door of reality?
Okay, let's unpack this immediately. I need a clear definition here. What exactly constitutes the front door?
The front door is the external physical world. It's the three-dimensional reality that you can, see with your eyes, touch with your hands, measure with instruments.
So like the actual physical evidence of my life?
Exactly. It is the bank account balance reflecting a negative number. It is the text message you just received that made your stomach drop. It's the promotion handed to your coworker.
So it's the circumstances we're currently swimming in.
Yes, your current circumstances. And when we try to change our lives by manipulating those external factors, by forcing ourselves to work an extra 20 hours a week.
Or aggressively people-pleasing.
Right. Or arguing with a partner to try and change their mind. Or sending 10 follow-up emails in a total panic. We are entirely focused on the front door.
We're trying to use brute force.
Exactly. We are trying to alter the physical world using physical force.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to change your reality by manipulating the external world is exactly like standing in front of your bathroom mirror, looking at your own scowling reflection, and deciding that the best way to make the reflection smile is to punch the glass.
Oh, wow. That is such a violent, stunning visual.
It gets the point across, right?
It really does. You're standing there, you punch the glass, you shatter the mirror into 100 pieces.
Yeah.
You're cutting your own knuckles to ribbons. And the reflection looking back at you still hasn't smiled.
No, it hasn't.
It's just a fractured scowling reflection now.
Precisely. It is a mathematical and physical impossibility to change the reflection by unhacking the mirror. The mirror has no independent agency.
It can't smile first.
Exactly. It possesses no ability to generate an image on its own. It only and exclusively reflects whatever is standing directly in front of it.
Wow.
So our core mission for this entire exploration today is to teach you how to completely abandon that locked front door.
I am so ready for this.
We are going to examine the mechanics of how to stop punching the glass, drop your bruised hands, and instead walk quietly and powerfully through the back door of reality creation.
The back door. I love the implication of that phrase. It implies a cheat code.
It really is a cheat code.
Yeah, it implies a hidden mechanism that was sitting there the whole time, completely bypassing the struggle, bypassing the exhaustion, bypassing the guards at the front door, demanding you pay them in suffering.
It absolutely operates like a cheat code, but accessing it requires a radical, uncompromising paradigm shift. To even see the back door, let alone walk through it, we have to start by entirely dismantling how you currently perceive two fundamental concepts.
Which are?
Distance and effort. We have to thoroughly examine the grand illusion of the gap between where you currently stand and where your ultimate goal resides.
This is where the resistance is going to flare up. I can feel it. Because when you were sitting at that kitchen table at midnight, that gap doesn't feel like an illusion.
No, it feels like a very real physical obstacle.
It feels terrifyingly real. So let's ground this in a hypothetical scenario.
Sure, let's do it.
Let's say you, the listener, are currently at step 10 in your life's journey.
Mm-hmm.
You've achieved some baseline things. You graduated, you secured a decent job to pay the bills. You've learned a few hard lessons.
We're on the board.
Right. You are at step 10. But your ultimate goal, the wildly successful business that scales globally, the multi-million-dollar portfolio, the deeply fulfilling marriage, that feels like it is sitting all the way up at the summit of a mountain.
Way up in the clouds.
Yeah, it's at step 100.
And the moment your analytical mind calculates the difference between 10 and 100, panic ensues.
Exactly. Total system override. You look at that 90-step gap, and it feels fundamentally insurmountable. You run the internal calculus, and you say, look, I barely survived the journey from step 0 to step 10.
That took years of my life.
That took tears. I'm already operating at a deficit. I simply do not have the time, the energetic bandwidth, or the practical knowledge to climb 90 more steps. The gap looks like a sheer vertical cliff face of pure suffering.
This specific panic is perhaps the most pervasive, debilitating logical fallacy of the human condition.
Really, a logical fallacy.
Yes, it is a category error. We are taking the mathematics of the physical world, the Newtonian physics, where distance is equal to time multiplied by effort, and we are mistakenly applying those rules to the mechanics of our internal state.
And to reality creation itself.
Exactly. But the infinite intelligence that governs the architecture of reality does not own a calendar. It doesn't use a tape measure. It certainly doesn't care about physical distance or how many hours you clocked at the office last week.
Wait, okay, I have to stop you and push back hard here. Because my logical brain is throwing up red flags left and right.
I figured it would. Go ahead.
Of course it cares about distance. Physically, objectively, 90 steps is significantly more than 10 steps. It has to take more effort.
In the physical world, yes.
Right. If I am physically climbing Mount Everest, getting from base camp to the first checkpoint is tiring,
Yeah.
sure. but climbing from that checkpoint up the remaining 20,000 feet into the death zone to reach the peak.
That's a huge leap.
That is a completely different ballgame. That requires oxygen tanks, specialized training, years of acclimatization, and a massive risk of failure. You cannot sit there and tell me that arriving at the peak of the mountain requires the same mechanism as walking into base camp. The scale is completely different.
I am telling you exactly that. But to understand why, you have to stop looking at your life's progression as a physical, geographical hike.
Okay. How should I look at it?
Let's dismantle your mountain analogy by looking at your own history. Think back to when you were truly at step 0. Maybe you were a teenager or a broke college student or freshly out of a devastating breakup with nothing to your name.
Oh yeah, I remember those days.
You had no practical experience, no professional network, no real knowledge of how the world worked, and absolutely no idea how to even get to the stability of step 10.
True.
From the vantage point of that vulnerable step 0, didn't step 10 look exactly like a mountain peak?
Oh wow.
Didn't the idea of simply having a reliable salary, a decent apartment, and a stable routine look incredibly distant, difficult, and shrouded in an intimidating lack of how-to knowledge?
That is a very, very fair point. When I first moved to a new city in my early 20s, the idea of just getting a job that paid enough so I didn't have to literally check my bank account before buying groceries, that felt like an impossible dream.
It felt massive.
It did. The gap between 0 and just being okay felt insurmountable. I had no idea how I was going to pull it off.
Precisely. But look at you now. You arrived at step 10 anyway. The critical question is, how did you arrive there?
Hard work?
Well, did you just mechanically place one foot in front of the other while remaining the exact same scared, inexperienced person from step 0?
Oh, no, I guess not.
No. The journey from 0 to 10 did not just require physical action. It fundamentally required a shift in who you were. You had to transition.
I had to grow up, basically.
You had to let the version of yourself who didn't know how to survive metaphorically die, so you could step into the identity of the version of yourself who knew how to operate at step 10.
Okay, I see what you're saying. It was an internal evolution.
Exactly. You had to adopt new core beliefs about your capabilities. You had to shed old insecurities that were weighing you down. You had to assume a completely new state of being.
Right.
So here is the secret the backdoor reveals. Energetically speaking, the distance between step 10 and step 100 is completely identical to the distance between step 0 and step 10.
My brain is still fighting this a little bit.
Yeah.
I hear the logic of the step 0 to step 10 evolution, but comparing getting a starter job to, like, building an empire, how can the energetic distance possibly be identical?
Because in the realm of reality creation, distance is not measured in physical miles, nor is it measured in hours worked. Distance is measured purely in identity. It is measured in frequency.
Identity and frequency. Okay.
To the infinite intelligence generating your experience, shifting your internal identity to accommodate a massive paradigm-altering dream requires the exact same energetic mechanism as shifting your identity to accommodate a very small, mundane dream.
Really? It's the same mechanism?
Completely. The universe does not expend more energy to create a galaxy than it does to create a single atom. It is all just energy taking form. The concept of 90 steps is a complete illusion fabricated by your analytical mind.
The analytical mind, we talk about that a lot, but let's define its role here. You mean that survival-driven part of us that is constantly obsessing over logistics?
Yes, the part that's always trying to measure, weigh, and predict every future outcome based entirely on past data.
Got it.
The analytical mind is a brilliant tool for avoiding physical danger, but it is a terrible master for reality creation. Your analytical mind mistakenly looks at large desires, immense wealth, profound unconditional love, and it assumes those things must require proportionally massive amounts of physical suffering to achieve.
It's doing math based on past pain.
Exactly. It runs a faulty algorithm. It tells you, listen, if securing a modest paycheck required 40 hours a week of suffering and stress, then securing a massive windfall must mathematically require 4,000 hours a week of suffering.
Which is physically impossible.
Right. So the mind concludes the goal itself is impossible.
Oh, that is a gut punch. We so deeply romanticize the struggle. It's just woven into our cultural fabric.
We really do.
We genuinely believe that if we aren't suffering, bleeding, and burning ourselves out for the goal, we haven't truly earned it. We treat suffering as a toll booth on the road to success.
It is deeply ingrained societal conditioning, and it keeps millions of people completely trapped at step 10. But the transition to step 100 is not a 90-step physical marathon.
What is it then?
It is an instantaneous internal shift in your version of yourself.
An instantaneous shift.
Yes. It requires abandoning the version of you who currently believes they are stranded at step 10, looking up at a mountain and feeling a deep sense of lack. You must entirely assume the internal state, the emotional posture, and the deep-seated beliefs of the version of you who is already standing at step 100.
I want to make sure we are translating this from theory into practical understanding. You are saying the mountain itself isn't real.
The mountain is an illusion.
So the 9,000 feet of agonizing vertical climbing is just a holographic projection created by my own internal belief that the goal is big, hard, and distant.
Precisely.
So if I can manage to internally shift my identity, to genuinely feel, think, and operate as the version of me who is already standing victorious on the peak, then the physical reality has no choice but to adjust and organize itself to match that new internal state.
Yes, entirely bypassing the perceived physical distance. You have grasped the core mechanic. And what's fascinating here is that we see this exact principle mirrored in the study of the fundamental building blocks of our universe. When we look at reality at the subatomic level, we realize that the vast, overwhelming majority of what we consider solid matter is actually completely empty space.
Right, quantum physics stuff.
Exactly. It is pure, undefined potential. Before it is observed, this potential exists in a state of all possibilities happening simultaneously. It is a field of infinite options.
There could be anything.
Anything. It is only when an observer, which is you, your pure conscious awareness, focuses on a specific potential that this undefined energy collapses into a fixed physical reality.
That is mind-blowing.
So you aren't physically climbing a ladder from potential A to potential Z. The ladder doesn't exist. You are simply shifting the focus of your awareness from the reality of A directly to the reality of Z, and by doing so, you collapse that new reality into your physical experience.
So the reason step 100 feels so utterly exhausting to even contemplate, the reason it makes me want to take a nap just thinking about it, is because I'm trying to drag my heavy burden step 10 identity all the way up the mountain.
Yes.
I'm taking all my current doubts about my self-worth, my current chronic exhaustion, my cynical beliefs about how unfair everything is, and I am trying to force that specific heavy version of myself into a step 100 life.
It's like trying to run a marathon while wearing a scuba diving suit made of lead.
That is exactly what it feels like, and it will never fit. You physically and energetically cannot enter the reality of step 100 while wearing the dense, heavy, energetic clothing of step 10.
You have to drop the luggage.
Drop the luggage. I love that.
You have to realize that the person who lives at step 100 does not feel the agonizing struggle of the 90 steps. They don't wake up feeling lack. They wake up feeling the fulfillment, the security, and the peace of being at the top.
Right.
The moment you are able to embody that specific frequency of fulfillment right now, in this present moment, the illusion of distance completely collapses.
Okay. This is an incredibly liberating concept. It takes a massive weight off the shoulders. But if I'm being perfectly honest, it also forces a really uncomfortable confrontational question.
Let's hear it.
If the distance is just an illusion, and the internal shift can theoretically be instantaneous, why do these big dreams feel so stubbornly distant in the first place?
Oh.
Like, why am I clinging so tightly to this heavy step 10 identity, this lead scuba suit, if it's making me so miserable? Why don't I just take it off? There has to be some sort of psychological ceiling I am hitting.
That is the exact right question to ask, and it brings us to the hidden architecture of your internal world. It brings us to a foundational concept we call the capacity container.
The capacity container. Let's really pull this apart because this feels like we are approaching the root of the entire issue. What is this container?
Imagine your self-concept as a physical vessel. Your self-concept is the deepest, truest, most unfiltered belief you hold about who you are, what your value is, and exactly how much good you are allowed to experience in this lifetime.
Okay, a vessel. I'm picturing it.
Every single human being walks around with one of these internal containers. Now, let's say your subconscious self-concept dictates that, based on your childhood, your past failures, or your ingrained beliefs, you are only truly worthy of holding 500 milliliters of success, love, or wealth.
That's a tiny amount, like a water bottle.
Exactly.
Why?
If that is your container's limit, you physically and energetically cannot hold a 50-liter life.
I want to visualize this. So even if infinite intelligence tries to bless me by pouring a 50-liter dream directly into my life, let's say I suddenly land a massive client that triples my income.
Or you meet someone who is emotionally available and incredibly kind.
Right. But my internal container is the size of a sippy cup. If you pour a fire hose into a sippy cup, it doesn't expand the cup.
No, it doesn't.
It just violently spills over the edges and washes away down the drain.
Exactly. And that spilling over is what we commonly refer to as self-sabotage.
Wow.
You will unconsciously and sometimes consciously find a way to reject the blessing, destroy the opportunity, or push the perfect partner away.
Why do we do that to ourselves?
Because your subconscious mind's primary directive is to maintain equilibrium. It wants to keep you safe. And to the subconscious, safe simply means familiar.
Ah. So when the 50 liters of abundance start pouring in,
the subconscious alarm bells start blaring. It screams, "Warning! System overload! Our blueprint says we only hold 500 milliliters. This 50 liters of love and money is foreign, it is unknown, it is dangerous. Get rid of it immediately so we can get back to our familiar state of mild panic."
that is terrifyingly, painfully accurate. I think everyone listening can identify a moment in their life where they did exactly this. We see this phenomenon play out in the extremes all the time.
Oh, constantly.
It's the classic lottery winner statistic.
I say.
Someone who has carried a poverty container their whole life suddenly wins $50 million. 5 years later, they are entirely bankrupt.
Exactly. The universe poured an ocean into a thimble, and they subconsciously worked as fast as humanly possible to drain the ocean so they could feel normal again.
Or, to make it more relatable, think about relationships. Someone who grew up in a chaotic household, who has always navigated toxic, dramatic relationships, finally meets someone who is just stable, kind, boringly consistent.
And within 3 months, the person with the small container starts feeling suffocated.
Yes, they complain there is no spark. They start picking irrational fights over loading the dishwasher until the stable partner finally throws their hands up and leaves.
They are actively, aggressively pouring out the excess love to get their reality back down to their 500 milliliter comfort zone of chaos and rejection.
Man, that is bleak.
It is, and we have to ask why that limit exists. Underneath that 500 milliliter waterline, buried deep in the psyche, is a hidden, insidious mechanism. It is a dense psychological block that we can refer to as the subconscious block, or the knot of inadequacy.
The knot of inadequacy.
Yes. This knot does not live in your conscious, rational mind. It lives deep in the subconscious, which is the vast, dark, unseen, underwater portion of the iceberg that dictates 95% of your behavior.
So we aren't even consciously aware of it.
Not at all. Consciously, you are reading personal development books, making vision boards, and shouting, "I want the money. I want the healthy marriage."
But subconsciously,
running like a background app draining your battery, this knot of inadequacy is constantly, quietly vibrating. It is endlessly whispering a series of toxic questions. Am I actually enough? Do I really deserve this good thing? If they get too close, will they realize I am unlovable?
when are they going to figure out I'm a complete imposter?
Exactly. And because the subconscious mind is the entity actually driving the bus, well, the conscious mind is just a passenger in the back seat thinking it's navigating.
That knot of inadequacy is what's actually steering the direction of our entire lives.
Precisely. And here is the most critical, fundamental rule to understand about energy and reality creation. Your internal feelings, your deep-seated beliefs are not private.
What do you mean they aren't private?
They are not contained within the boundary of your skin. They are active broadcast mechanisms. That knot of inadequacy is acting like a massive, high-powered radio tower, broadcasting a literal frequency of lack out into the quantum field, out into the fabric of reality.
A frequency of lack. Okay, so my internal state is a radio transmission, and the signal I am blasting 24/7 is, I do not have enough, I am not enough, I am missing something vital, I am desperate.
And infinite intelligence operates entirely on the law of resonance. Like attracts like. Frequencies must match to interact.
So if I'm broadcasting lack,
You're repelling abundance. Abundance, immense wealth, profound love, deep peace. These are high, expansive frequencies. They are frequencies of having, of wholeness, of pure, unbothered presence.
they mathematically cannot resonate with the frequency of lack.
They won't. It is like trying to tune your radio to a classical music station while the dial is stuck on static. In fact, abundance is actively repelled by the frequency of lack. The energy of lack is dense and constricting. Abundance simply bounces right off it.
Here is where it gets incredibly profound. And I want to connect this back to the person we visualized at the very beginning of our exploration today. The person sitting in the blue light of their laptop at 11:30 p.m.
Or the person walking on eggshells for a distant partner.
Exactly. When you are trapped in that hustle state, overworking, over-explaining your actions, over-pleasing everyone around you, your conscious ego tells you a very noble, heroic story about what you are doing. You pat yourself on the back and think, I am radiating hard work. I am radiating loyalty.
You think you're signaling to the universe how much you care.
But energetically, below the surface, what is that radio tower actually broadcasting into the field while you are typing that midnight email?
Energetically, you are screaming into the void. I am completely empty. I am not enough on my own. Please, please give me this external validation. Give me this promotion. Give me this text message back so I can finally feel a momentary sense of relief and worthiness inside.
Wow. Okay, that shifts the entire paradigm. The endless hustle, the perfectionism, the people-pleasing, they aren't virtues. They're actually manifestations of severe self-doubt.
What's fascinating here is that your hustle is just your insecurity in a suit and tie.
That is so true. You aren't working a 60-hour week because you are deeply inspired by the project. You are working a 60-hour week because you are terrified that if you only work 40 hours, someone will realize you aren't worthy of your salary.
You are desperately trying to use a physical, external thing to plug a gaping internal void.
And what's crucial to understand is that the universe only ever listens to the energetic truth. It is completely blind to the physical action.
Let's use an example to illustrate that. You can perform the physical action of buying a massive, expensive bouquet of roses and having them delivered to your partner's office. On the physical plane, it looks like a beautiful, romantic gesture.
Like a movie scene.
Right. But if the energetic truth underneath that action is panic, if you are thinking, I haven't heard from them all day, they seem distant, I need to send these so they won't be mad at me, I need to buy their affection to prove I have value.
Then those physical flowers are carrying a heavy, dense frequency of lack.
Exactly. When your partner receives them, they might smile, but subconsciously, their nervous system will feel the suffocating, grasping energy of your neediness. They won't feel the expansive, freeing energy of pure love. And, ironically, the gesture will likely make them pull further away.
So by desperately chasing the goal, whether it's the partner, the money, or the career, we are literally, mechanically pushing it further away.
Yes.
Because the very act of chasing implies a fundamental truth.
Yeah.
The thing we want is currently running away from us. It implies distance. It implies separation. It is the ultimate declaration of lack.
Perfectly reasoned. When you chase, you are boldly affirming to reality, I do not have this thing. And reality, acting as a faithful, unbiased mirror, simply replies, you are absolutely right, you do not have this thing.
And it continues to mirror your lack right back to you. Your 500 milliliter container remains stubbornly intact.
Exactly.
Okay, this is a heavy, sobering realization. If my bone-deep exhaustion is just the byproduct of me broadcasting my own inadequacy, and if my disappointing external reality is just an unbiased mirror reflecting my tiny, restricted internal container, how on earth do we fix this?
We have to expand the container.
But how do we stop punching the glass? How do I take this 500 milliliter sippy cup of a self-concept and expand it into a 50-liter reservoir capable of holding the life I actually want?
The process requires what we can describe as a complete internal factory reset. You have to stop all external operations and turn your attention entirely inward.
A factory reset. Walk me through the mechanics of this. What is the very first step?
The very first step is cessation. If the core problem is that you are bleeding your precious life force energy out into the external world, chasing the bad boss for approval, trying to manipulate the distant partner into loving you, the immediate urgent solution is to stop the bleeding.
You just have to stop.
You have to fiercely center your energy. You must gather all that desperate, outward-flowing, grasping attention, pull it violently back into your own core, and invest every ounce of that energy entirely into expanding your own internal self-concept. You stop trying to change them, and you exclusively focus on changing you.
I want to use an analogy here to really make this abstract concept concrete and visual.
Go for it.
Imagine your mind is a sprawling industrial manufacturing plant. It is a massive mental factory. For years, maybe for decades since childhood, you have had the heavy machinery and the conveyor belts running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, manufacturing boxes.
Okay, I'm with you.
And these boxes are labeled with things like lack, financial struggle, not good enough, rejection, waiting for the other shoe to drop.
A very accurate representation of the subconscious mind at work.
So you've been blindly manufacturing these toxic boxes, and you've been storing them in your factory's massive shipping warehouse. In fact, your entire physical reality, the life you are living right now, is literally built out of these shipped boxes.
Yes, your current environment is built from past production.
Now, let's say you are listening to this conversation today. You have a profound aha moment. You realize you are the one running the machines. So you decide to execute the factory reset. You march up to the control room, you slam your hand on the giant emergency stop button, you completely reprogram the software, and you flip the switch back on.
The reset is complete.
Suddenly, the machinery changes. The conveyor belts start producing beautiful, shining boxes labeled abundance, wholeness, I am enough, effortless wealth, secure love. You feel amazing internally. You feel the shift.
You really do. It feels exhilarating at first.
So you confidently walk out of your factory doors, expecting the world outside to look like a utopian paradise. And instead, you look at your front lawn, and there is a massive, towering stack of lack and struggle boxes sitting right there.
Just piled up.
Your bank account is still overdrawn. Your partner is still ignoring your texts. Your boss is still demanding you work the weekend.
And this specific moment right here, standing on the lawn looking at the old boxes, is exactly where 99% of people completely abandon the process. They give up.
Really? That's when they quit.
Almost everyone. This is the phenomenon known as the delay. Understanding and surviving the delay is the most crucial and without a doubt the most emotionally excruciating part of reality creation.
The delay. Let's camp out here and really analyze this, because this feels like where the rubber meets the road. This is where theory becomes a brutal practice. Why does the delay exist?
It exists because of the different densities of energy. When you execute the factory reset and change your internal production to abundance, you have fundamentally and instantly changed your energetic frequency. That is real.
So the internal change is instant.
Yes. However, physical reality, the three-dimensional material world of bank accounts, physical bodies, and spoken words, is incredibly dense. It moves slowly. If your thoughts and frequencies are like lightweight vapor, physical reality is like thick, heavy ice.
Oh, that's a great way to put it. Vapor versus ice.
It takes time for the vapor of your new frequency to condense and freeze into the ice of a new physical circumstance.
Right.
But more practically, going back to your analogy, you still have a warehouse completely full of the old lac boxes that your factory manufactured before you did the reset. Those boxes have already been processed. They are already on the delivery trucks. They are in transit.
Oh, man, so they still have to be delivered.
Yes. Therefore, the empty bank account or the rude email you experience today is not a reflection of your new abundance mindset. It is simply the delayed delivery, the inevitable arrival of the lack you were busy manufacturing 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years ago.
Oh, that makes so much sense. The external reality is literally an echo. It is the light from a dead star.
A dead star. Elaborate on that.
Well, you look up at the night sky and you see a star shining brightly. But astronomers will tell you that star actually burned out and died 1 million years ago. It's gone. But the universe is so vast that the light it emitted before it died is only just now reaching your physical eyes.
It's a beautiful and scientifically accurate metaphor.
So when you look at your overdrawn bank account, or you sit in an empty apartment feeling lonely, you are looking at a dead star. That reality is already energetically dead because you changed the factory. You are just experiencing the residual traveling light of your old self-concept.
Exactly. And yet, knowing this, how does the untrained human mind normally react when that old dead light reaches our eyes?
We panic.
We completely panic. We look at the delayed delivery of the lac box. We completely forget about the profound factory reset we just did. And we allow the external world to dictate our internal state all over again.
We let the dead star dictate our present emotion.
We run frantically back into the control room, scream, "It's not working. The secret is a lie. I'm still broke." And we physically flip the machines back to producing lac just to match what we see on the lawn.
We validate the dead reality. We literally let the echo of our past convince us to start shouting the exact same painful words into the canyon all over again, ensuring the echo will never stop.
Precisely. We trap ourselves in a loop. And we must understand that this panic is not entirely accidental. This is what we can label the subconscious test.
Okay, the subconscious test. Tell me more.
Remember, your subconscious mind is deeply committed to maintaining its equilibrium. It loves its tiny 500 milliliter comfort zone, even if that zone is objectively miserable, purely because it is familiar. The subconscious knows how to survive being broke. It has no idea how to survive being a millionaire.
It's terrified of the unknown.
Extremely terrified. So when you attempt to expand your container to 50 liters, the subconscious feels a profound existential threat. It views this new abundance frequency not as a blessing, but as dangerous, uncharted, potentially lethal territory.
So it fights back to protect you.
Oh, it fights dirty. It will actively look for, highlight, or sometimes seemingly orchestrate severe tests in your external environment.
Like what kind of test?
Suddenly, an unexpected massive tax bill arrives in the mail. Your previously calm partner makes an incredibly cutting, passive-aggressive comment out of nowhere. A reliable client suddenly emails to cancel a huge, lucrative contract.
Things that perfectly trigger your specific fears.
Exactly. The subconscious mind throws these specific events at you because it knows exactly what triggers your old knot of inadequacy. It desperately wants you to panic. It wants you to look at the canceled contract and say, see, I knew it. I knew I wasn't worthy of success.
It wants you to surrender.
It wants you to walk back into the factory and switch the machines back to struggle so the subconscious can feel safe again in its familiar misery.
This is so devious. It's like your own mind is trying to sabotage your escape attempt. But recognizing that it is merely a test and not a final verdict is half the battle. If you know the test is coming, you can brace your internal structure for impact.
You have to brace yourself.
I want to offer a conceptual tool to help listeners stand firm during this test. I call it the ugly blue hair analogy.
I am intrigued. Please share it.
Let's imagine you are someone who has beautiful, completely natural brown hair. You know you have brown hair. It is an undeniable fact of your existence. You've looked in the mirror every day of your life. You wash it, you brush it. You are 100% completely secure in the internal knowing that your hair is brown.
Okay, I have brown hair.
Now imagine you are walking down a busy city street feeling great, and a completely unhinged stranger runs up to you, points a finger in your face, and screams at the top of their lungs, "Hey, your blue hair is incredibly ugly. I hate your blue hair."
Okay.
How do you react to that stranger?
Well, you certainly wouldn't be deeply offended. You'd probably just laugh. Or you would look at them with pity, step around them, and ignore them completely. You absolutely wouldn't run home, lock the door, burst into tears, and stare into the bathroom mirror, agonizing over whether you had miraculously sprouted ugly blue hair.
Exactly. You are completely, utterly indifferent to their screaming. Their aggressive comment has absolute zero power to alter your emotional state because your internal knowing, the irrefutable fact that you have brown hair, is absolute.
It's an established fact.
Right. You don't feel the need to stop and debate them. You don't pull out childhood photos to prove your hair is brown. You don't try to manipulate them into seeing the truth. You just keep walking, entirely unbothered, because their delusion has nothing to do with your reality.
That level of unbothered, absolute indifference is the exact emotional frequency you must aggressively cultivate towards your external reality during the delay.
Yes, this is the key. When the unexpected tax bill arrives in the mail, when the 3D physical reality gets in your face and screams, "You are broke.
Yeah.
You are failing." You have to look at that piece of paper with the exact same bemused energy as you looked at the person screaming about blue hair.
Just completely unbothered.
You have to look at the empty bank account and say, "Oh, how funny. The physical reality thinks I'm broke. The external world thinks I'm struggling. But I internally know, with absolute certainty, that I am wealthy. I know I reset the factory. I know my machines are currently producing massive abundance. Therefore, this tax bill is just an old echo. It is a dead star. It has absolutely nothing to do with who I am right now." You must view the external evidence of lack with total radical indifference.
This specific skill, this radical indifference, is where we separate the dabblers from the absolute masters of reality creation. True mastery is not about frantically trying to control every variable in the external world to make yourself feel safe.
Right.
Mastery is about completely stubbornly ignoring the external world the moment it dares to contradict your internal knowing. If you react to the lack, if you give the unexpected bill your emotional energy, your fear, your anxiety, your pure awareness, you are feeding it.
You're giving it life.
You are taking a dead echo, breathing life into it, pulling it from the past, dragging it into your present moment, and essentially guaranteeing that it will multiply and exist in your future.
It's almost like we harbor a secret addiction to the evidence of our own misery. We claim we want to be wealthy, but we constantly, obsessively refresh our banking apps 10 times a day just to confirm, yep, still poor.
We constantly check the dead star.
We claim we want a secure, loving partner, but we obsessively reread their old, vague text messages looking for subtextual proof that they are planning to abandon us. We are actively, desperately hunting the streets looking for the person who will yell at us about our ugly blue hair.
We are addicted to it because the ego, the specific limited character we have been playing our entire lives, feels a twisted sense of validation by being right. even if being right means being utterly miserable.
The ego loves to be right.
The ego loves to look at a failure and say, see, I told you life was a struggle. I told you we weren't smart enough or attractive enough. At least the universe is predictably cruel.
Wow.
To successfully pass the subconscious test and survive the delay, you have to be willing to let that protective ego character die. You have to be willing to look like an absolute fool to the external world. You have to be willing to be seemingly delusional in the face of hard, contrary evidence because you trust the invisible machinery of your internal factory reset infinitely more than you trust your physical eyes.
Okay, if I really internalize this, if the past is just delayed boxes sitting on a lawn, and the current external world is just a dead echo of a previous mindset, it completely shatters my understanding of time.
It should shatter it. Time is an illusion.
So what actually is reality then? If it's not this continuous unbroken stream of cause and effect of past trauma inevitably leading to present suffering, what am I actually experiencing in this physical body?
This question brings us to a mind-bending foundational paradigm shift. To truly master the back door, we have to look under the hood at the quantum mechanics of reality itself. We have to completely dismantle the deeply held illusion of continuity.
Okay, my seatbelt is fastened. My tray table is in the upright position. Let's go. Explain the illusion of continuity.
The human brain is, at its core, an incredibly sophisticated pattern recognition machine. It takes millions of disparate data points every second and seamlessly stitches them together to create a cohesive, logical narrative so you can navigate the world without going insane.
Makes sense. We need to process the deep.
Well, but that narrative, the smooth flow of time from past to present to future, is an optical illusion. Life is not a continuous, fluid movie.
If it's not a movie, what is the actual structure?
It is a series of isolated, completely independent, single-second still frames.
Still frames.
Think of a physical strip of celluloid film used in an old-school movie projector. When that strip of film runs through the projector at 24 frames per second, your brain interprets it as a continuous, moving, breathing world. A character walks across the room, opens the door, and walks out.
Just like going to the cinema.
But if you stop the projector, turn on the lights, and pull out the physical strip of film to examine it, you see the truth. The character isn't actually moving. It is just thousands of individual static photographs. One frame has the character standing still with their hand by their side. The very next frame is a completely new photograph where the hand is slightly higher. The next frame, higher still.
Oh, I see.
The movement is an illusion created by consciousness rapidly shifting from one isolated frame to the next.
I understand the metaphor of the film strip, but translating that to my actual physical life is incredibly difficult because my life feels undeniably continuous.
Of course it feels that way.
If I am skiing and I hit a tree and break my leg in one frame, my leg is still shattered and throbbing with pain in the frame that happens 3 days later. My past trauma, the things that happened to me 10 years ago, feel like a heavy rusted iron chain dragging directly into my present moment. It doesn't feel like a collection of isolated, separate photographs. It feels like a heavy, inescapable linear storyline.
It feels like an inescapable storyline exclusively because of what you are doing with your pure awareness. Let's look very closely at those frames.
Mm-hmm.
The past frame, the specific moment the trauma happened, the moment you failed the exam, the moment you were rejected, the moment you felt profound lack, does not physically exist anymore. The energy has dissipated, it is gone. Physical reality is only ever this exact singular present frame you are occupying right now, and the future does not exist yet. It is pure, unformed potential.
Okay, I can concede that the past is physically gone. But if it doesn't exist physically, why does it exert such massive, crushing weight on my present moment? Why does my chest still tighten when I think about a failure from 5 years ago?
Because the past only continues to exist in one place, in your own mental rehearsal.
My mental rehearsal.
You are the one dragging the dead past into the living present frame by spending your pure, infinite awareness on it. Let's go back to the film strip analogy. You must realize that you are not the struggling character trapped inside the celluloid photograph. You are the pure, brilliant, infinite light of the projector shining through the film.
Oh, that is a profound distinction. I am the light illuminating the frame. I am not the image printed on the plastic.
Precisely. Your pure awareness is the light of creation. Whichever frame you choose to shine your light through instantly becomes your physical, lived experience in this moment.
But I'm shining it on the wrong frames.
Exactly. Here is what the average traumatized human mind does. a painful frame happens.
Yeah.
Let's say you bomb a major presentation at work. Instead of just letting the film strip keep rolling forward to a new, better, completely unrelated scene, you panic.
We hold on to it.
You take your powerful projector light, you manually pull that painful, failed presentation frame backward, and you shine your light through it again and again and again. You obsess over it on the drive home, you replay it in the shower, you constantly rehearse the story of, I am someone who chokes under pressure, I am a failure.
By doing this obsessive mental rehearsal, you are manually taking a dead past event and forcefully recreating it as your present reality, frame after frame after frame.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of human potential, the implications are utterly staggering.
Because it means we have a choice.
It means, as a fundamental law of reality, you are not bound by your past. You are only bound by your constant rehearsal of your past. Because every single frame is isolated, every single present moment is a completely fresh start. It is a blank slate of pure potential. The chain of trauma is not made of iron. It is made of your own focused attention.
But how does that work practically in the real world? If I am broke, sitting in a messy apartment in this current frame, I can't just magically snap my fingers and have $1 million sitting on my kitchen table in the very next 1 second frame, right? Reality still has rules of continuity to maintain its structure.
You are correct. Physically, the frames must transition somewhat logically to maintain the stable illusion of the three-dimensional world. Otherwise, the human mind would fracture. You don't jump from an empty apartment to a mansion in 1 second.
Right, so where does this shift happen?
Energetically, behind the scenes, the grid of potential is infinite. Imagine a massive, multidimensional grid containing an infinite number of these isolated frames. Every single version of your life that could possibly, conceivably exist already exists on this grid as a dormant potential right now.
Like alternate realities.
Yes, there is a sequence of frames where you are a self-made millionaire. There is a sequence where you are completely miraculously healed from your illness. There is a sequence where you are deeply, unconditionally loved by an amazing partner. They aren't fantasies. They are literal, dormant realities sitting there in the quantum field, waiting.
Waiting for what? What wakes them up?
They are waiting for the light of your awareness.
Oh, wow.
You navigate this infinite grid not by physically running, exhausting yourself from the broke frame over to the rich frame. Remember, we established earlier that physical travel is the illusion of the 90 steps. You navigate the grid purely by identifying with the new frame internally. You shift your internal frequency to perfectly match the frequency of the rich frame, and your physical reality seamlessly glides over to that timeline.
It's like changing the channel on a radio or a television. All the different broadcast channels are transmitting simultaneously through the airwaves in the room you are sitting in right now.
Exactly.
The cooking channel, the horror movie channel, the news, the comedy, they all exist right now in the room with you. But you only experience the specific channel that your television tuner is dialed into. If your internal dial is tuned to the struggle and victimhood frequency, you will only experience the struggle frames. If you want to experience the wealth and ease frames, you don't have to build a new television set. You don't have to travel to a different city. You literally just have to turn the internal dial.
And turning the dial simply means aggressively moving your pure awareness away from the mental rehearsal of lack and placing it entirely onto the mental rehearsal of abundance. You simply choose to mentally rehearse a triumph over and over instead of rehearsing a tragedy.
But here's the practical friction. How do I know I've actually turned the dial?
What do you mean?
Because I have tried this. Millions of people have tried this. I've read the books. I've done the positive affirmations. I have stood in my bathroom mirror, looked at myself, and boldly stated, I am a millionaire. I am wildly successful.
Let me guess how that felt.
Exactly. Deep down in my gut, I felt ridiculous. My subconscious immediately laughed and said, no, you aren't. You couldn't afford premium gas yesterday. My dial didn't actually feel turned. It felt like I was just slapping a cheap bumper sticker over the struggle channel and pretending it was fixed.
That feeling of being a fraud is the crucial dividing line between wishing for a reality and truly knowing a reality. Which brings us to the ultimate foundational culmination of this entire strategy, the law of knowing.
The law of knowing. Let's dissect this with surgical precision, because this feels like the master key to the back door. How is knowing mechanically different from hoping, wishing, deeply desiring, or even intensely trying to manifest something?
Hoping, wishing, desiring, and trying all sound positive on the surface, but energetically they all contain a hidden lethal poison, the assumption of separation.
The assumption of separation.
When you say out loud, I really hope I get that promotion, or I am trying so hard to manifest a new car, what are you actually energetically declaring to the universe.
I am declaring that I absolutely do not currently have the promotion or the car. I am declaring that the object of my desire is out there, separate from me, hovering in the distance, and I have to somehow build a bridge or cross a gap or perform a magic trick to get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are actively affirming the distance. You are affirming the lack. You are putting yourself right back at step 10, staring up at the terrifying peak of the mountain. You are trying to use lack to create abundance, which violates the laws of physics.
Right.
Knowing, on the other hand, implies absolute, unbreakable unity with the goal. It implies that the outcome is already a fundamental, boring fact of your existence. It removes all desperation.
It's like knowing my own name. Or, a better example, knowing how gravity works.
Gravity is a perfect example.
I don't wake up in the morning, grip the sides of my mattress in a cold sweat, and say, I really, really hope gravity works today. I'm going to try so hard to manifest gravity, keeping my feet on the floor. I'm going to visualize gravity.
You sound insane.
I just casually swing my legs out of bed and stand up. I am completely indifferent to the mechanics of it because I know it's there. The knowing is so deep it requires zero conscious effort.
That is a perfect analogy. When you operate from the law of knowing, you achieve a state of relaxed, almost arrogant certainty. There is no anxiety because you cannot be anxious about attaining something you already possess.
Right.
But to reach that profound state of knowing, you can't just fake it in the mirror. You have to meticulously align all three layers of your human experience. We can categorize these as the three planes of reality creation.
The three planes, let's break them down. What is the architecture here?
Let's use the states of water as an analogy to understand how an idea solidifies into physical reality.
Okay, water analogy.
The deepest level, the foundational origin point, is the spiritual plane. This is pure, unadulterated knowing. In our analogy, this is vapor. It is formless, it is invisible to the eye, but it is omnipresent and powerful. On this plane, you bypass logic entirely, and you simply accept the new reality as a fundamental truth of your being. You connect with that infinite intelligence inside you, and you declare, it is done. I do not need to figure out the how. I am already that version of myself.
Okay, so the vapor is the invisible internal shift of identity. It's dropping the step 10 luggage. But vapor just dissipates if you don't contain it. What happens next?
The vapor must condense and gather into the mental plane. This is the realm of your internal story, your constant inner dialogue, and your mental rehearsal. This is water. It is more tangible than vapor. It flows, but it is still fluid and shapeable.
The mental story.
This plane is where most people completely sabotage their reality creation, and it is where you must learn to be absolutely ruthlessly disciplined.
This is where you have to brutally audit your internal monologue.
Yes, a brutal, unforgiving audit. You mathematically cannot claim to have the vapor of knowing you are a highly successful business owner, while your day-to-day mental story is a constant polluted stream of complaints and victimhood.
Right, they don't match.
You cannot stand in the mirror and say, I know I am wealthy, and then immediately go to lunch and spend 2 hours gossiping with your friends about how terrible the economy is, how nobody's buying your products, how greedy corporations are ruining everything, and how stressed out you are about paying your rent next week.
Oh, this is the trap. This is exactly where we all trip up.
It is the biggest trap.
We do our little 5-minute meditation in the morning where we light incense, breathe deeply, and know our success. We feel great for exactly 300 seconds. And then we spend the remaining 15 hours and 55 minutes of our waking day complaining, worrying, arguing in our heads with people who aren't in the room, and aggressively reinforcing the old story of lack. The water is completely polluted with toxic waste.
It creates extreme vibrational discord. You are sending completely mixed signals to the grid of potential. Your mental plane must become a flawless, undisturbed reflection of your spiritual plane. Your thoughts, your immediate reactions to bad news, the specific vocabulary you use to describe your life to others, it all must perfectly align with the end goal.
So no more complaining about being broke if you want to be rich.
Exactly. Ask yourself, if you were truly, undeniably a world-famous, successful musician right now, how would that version of you think on a daily basis? They probably aren't sitting on the couch agonizing over social media algorithms or crying over a bad review from a local blog.
What are they thinking about?
They are thinking about melodies. They are obsessed with the architecture of sound. They are contemplating art. They are living in the joy of creation. Your mental story, the water you swim in every day, must match the destination you claim to have arrived at.
Okay, so we have the vapor, which is the pure spiritual knowing. And we have the water, which is the disciplined mental story and internal monologue. What is the final third plane?
The physical plane, the action. This is the ice. It is dense, it is solid, it has weight, and it is visible to everyone else in the three-dimensional world.
The ice.
Now, remember our discussion about the front door. The physical plane, the ice, is where 99% of humanity tries to start the process. They try to freeze water that isn't even there. They try to force action out of panic, out of a sense of lack, or out of a desperate, ego-driven need to make things happen.
So, to clarify, if I align my vapor and my water, if I just sit on my living room couch, meditate, and purely know I am a rock star, will a multi-million-dollar record deal just magically crash through my ceiling and land on my lap without me doing anything?
No, because you occupy a physical body designed to interact with a physical world. You are here to experience the tactile nature of reality. Action is required.
Okay, so action is still necessary.
But the quality, the origin, and the frequency of that action changes entirely. When your spiritual plane, the vapor, and your mental plane, the water, are perfectly aligned and completely free of the frequency of lack, the physical plane, the ice, naturally, inevitably forms.
So the action isn't forced.
Action no longer feels like grinding against a steel door. Action becomes the natural, inspired, joyful midwifing of the idea into physical reality.
Midwifing. I absolutely love the nuance of that word. It implies something profound.
Doesn't it?
A midwife doesn't assemble a baby from scratch. They don't force a baby to exist. The word implies that the new reality, the wealth, the love, is already alive. It has already formed in the unseen realm. Its time has come. And your physical action is merely assisting and facilitating its natural, inevitable delivery into the visible world. You aren't fabricating the reality out of thin air through sheer willpower. You're just opening the door to let it walk in.
That is a brilliant articulation of the process. If you genuinely know you are a successful musician, vapor, and your internal story is consistently filled with the expansive joy of music, water, you will naturally, organically feel inspired to write songs.
You won't have to force yourself.
You will feel an irresistible gravitational pull to pick up the guitar. You will enthusiastically reach out to venues to book a gig. But the critical difference is your energetic state while doing it. You aren't booking the gig out of a state of desperation. You aren't trembling, thinking, if I don't play this gig perfectly, I'll be a failure forever and I'll never make rent. You are doing it out of pure, joyful alignment with who you already are.
So what does this all mean for the person listening to us right now? It means you have to be almost radically, unapologetically protective of your own mind. You have to be willing to look directly at a terrifying, concrete, external reality. The bank account that is overdrawn by $500, the deafening silence from the person you are in love with, the career that has been stalled for a decade, and you must have the sheer, unadulterated audacity to look at those facts and say, I see you, but I do not accept you as my final truth. You are just a dead echo.
Exactly. You have to be delusional enough to trust your internal knowing over your external sight.
Delusional.
You use the word delusion, and it is fitting because delusion is simply the weaponized word that society uses to shame people who refuse to conform to the shared collective nightmare of limitation.
That's powerful.
To the exhausted person trapped at step 10, furiously calculating the illusion of the 90 steps, the person who effortlessly steps through the back door and claims their reality looks completely insane. It looks delusional.
Right, because they aren't suffering.
But to the infinite intelligence of the universe, that delusion is actually the absolute highest form of clarity. It is the ultimate awakening. It is the profound realization that you are the creator of the frames, the light of the projector, not the helpless victim printed on the film.
This brings our entire journey full circle. It brings us right back to you, the listener, sitting there with that heavy, bone-deep exhaustion we talked about at the very beginning, the late nights in the blue light, the bending over backwards until your spine snaps, the bleeding knuckles from pushing against the locked front door. Let's look at your exhaustion through this entirely new lens.
The exhaustion you have been carrying for years wasn't because the world is inherently cruel. It wasn't because success is a VIP club reserved for a lucky few. Your exhaustion was simply the terrible friction of playing the wrong role in the play. You were exhausting yourself playing the role of a powerless secondary character, desperately trying to fight the script of a tragedy, begging the director for a better scene.
When all along, for your entire life, you were the author holding the pen. You are the projector light. You are the architect.
And when you finally internalize this, when you align your three planes, when your spiritual vapor, your mental water, and your physical ice are all humming and resonating with the exact frequency of your deepest desires, something miraculous happens.
What happens?
You don't just achieve your external goals. In fact, achieving the goal almost becomes a secondary byproduct. What you actually achieve, what you actually win, is a state of profound, unshakable, sovereign internal peace.
Because the external world, the mirror, no longer holds you hostage.
Yeah.
It loses its power to dictate your heart rate.
Exactly. You reach a transcendent point where you are too rich internally to care about the immediate external reflection.
Too rich internally to care. I love that.
You know the factory has been successfully reset. You know the delay on the lawn is just old stock clearing out, and it will be gone soon. You know the shuttered subconscious tests are just shadows on the wall trying to scare you.
Yeah.
And because you no longer care out of a state of desperation, because you finally drop the heavy, suffocating luggage of neediness and lack, that is, ironically, beautifully, the exact moment the resistance vanishes. The steel door unlocks and swings open, and the reflection in the mirror finally, effortlessly smiles back at you.
It is the ultimate beautiful paradox of reality creation. You get the world the exact moment you no longer need the world to validate your worth. This has been a monumental paradigm-shifting conversation. But before we part ways today, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final provocative thought to mull over as you go about your week.
Leave them with something good.
We've talked extensively about the mirror. We've talked about the reflection. If your external reality is truly simply an unbiased mirror reflecting your deepest, most hidden internal beliefs about your own capacity and your own worth, what is the mirror telling you today? Look closely at the struggles you are facing right now, the specific frustrations, the specific people driving you crazy, the exact roadblocks in your path. What specific subconscious block are they reflecting back to you? And more importantly, are you finally ready to drop your bruised hands, stop punching the glass, walk quietly through the back door, and permanently change the face looking into it?